Yep. So I talk about this all the time, how putting public services in the hands of private institutions is never a good idea. Again, when you put those services in the hand of private institutions, all they care about is making money and cutting costs. So it starts to crumble, and they don't put the infrastructure in place to withstand emergencies. And as the climate gets worse and worse and worse, we start to see the negative effects of that. And Puerto Rico has been especially just brutalized by the climate catastrophe here. It's the climate catastrophe is already here, man. It's wreaking havoc across the globe. The whole theme of this month has been biblical fucking floods, dude, in Pakistan, in Kentucky, and Alaska, and Georgia, all over the place, and they're all struggling. In Kentucky, there's some towns without water, and because, like I said, they're all private. So we're gonna get into this. Let's do it. All right. So this article comes from Common Dreams, written by John Quayali. First hit by privatization, Puerto Rico in total blackout as Fiona makes landfall. A total blackout was reported on the island of Puerto Rico on Sunday as heavy rainfall and powerful winds pounded the island before Hurricane Fiona made landfall just before 4 p.m. local time. Weather forecasters said the rainfall is likely to produce devastating landslides and severe flooding, with up to 25 inches expected in some areas. A Category 1 storm, which sustained winds of 85 miles per hour, Fiona is nowhere near as powerful as Hurricane Maria, which slammed the island in 2017, nearly 5 years to the day, as a Category 4 monster. If you don't remember Hurricane Maria, that was the time when, like I said, like Puerto Rico was just fucking absolutely devastated. I mean, you should see the pictures. They're insane. And that's when Trump went over and started tossing fucking toilet paper to the people like it was fucking football, just completely making light of the situation and obviously showing that he doesn't give a fuck, just hilarious but sad shit, It wasn't lost on many that the nation's sole power utility company, Luma, granted control of the territory's electricity system in a 2020 privatization deal in the wake of Maria's devastation. Is the institution now in charge as the entire island has lost power in the face of Fiona? And here's a tweet from Gustavo showing the blackouts, and literally the entire island does not have power. That's how fucked up it is. And don't get me wrong, like this is like I said, it's a Category 1 storm, which, regardless of the intensity, you don't want any storm, but they should have been able to prevent this, man. Like the entire island losing power, that's just a failure on the company's part, because again, all they care about is money, man. They let the infrastructure rot, they cut costs, they cut down the amount of times that they do maintenance, and these are the consequences. It's happening all over the country. In July, major protests were organized by Puerto Ricans opposed to Luma, a joint venture by Canada-based ATCO and Houston-based Quanta Services. Citing increased outages, unreliable service, and higher bills, opponents demanded the 15-year contract with the company be canceled. As Reuters reported in July, power rates have gone up 5 times since Luma began operating Puerto Rico's transmission and distribution system on June 1st, 2020. The last rate hike, which took effect at the start of July, pushed rates up 17.1%. That's also a huge problem that Puerto Rico has, is that it's massively corrupt. And I think a big factor in why is because it's not a state. The U.S. or there's been certain bad actors who have pushed propaganda very hard on Puerto Ricans to not gain statehood. And the main reason is because if they gain statehood, they would most likely be Democratic. And, that would further push the Republicans out of power. So they don't want that. And on top of that, it's harder to root out that corruption when they don't really have the ability for the federal government to kind of step in a way that they could in places that are states, you know? In a statement on its website Sunday, Luma said full power restoration could take several days and asks for support and patience from its customers. Carmen Yulin Cruz, who was a progressive mayor of San Juan when Maria hit the island in 2017, offered a sobering comment in response to news of the blackout. Puerto Rico is 100% without electrical power, she tweeted. The cycle of death begins. Just like the cycle of death with Hurricane Maria all those years ago, man. Like, the federal government did not do shit, man. They basically just let 3,000 people suffer and die, and the rest of the Puerto Ricans pick up the pieces, man. Barely any aid got there. They're still recovering to this day, and here you go again with them just getting battered and blasted, you know, like I said, because of climate change. And the longer we don't address the climate crisis, the longer we let these corrupt, immoral assholes run our institutions, the more people die, the more land and life is lost, and the more the world is just going to fall into chaos, man. So, like I always say, we as leftists need to build grassroots organizations within the community to subvert the power of the federal government, in my opinion. You know, we need to create structures to help people that are outside of the system, because working within the system never works, man. You see how many progressives have been put into Congress over the past almost a decade, and almost nothing has happened. Now, I'm not saying they haven't done anything. I actually do think it's important for them to be there and get progressive ideas out there and to the American people, but they need to start growing a backbone, man. The more they capitulate and try to play the game in Washington, the more shit like this will happen, you know, when it all could have been prevented just with common sense legislation and having people in power who actually give a shit about the common man, you know? Yeah, so that's our second article. Oh, you know what? I actually just wanted also to show you a clip of a little bit of what's happening over there as well. So here we go. And yep, desktop audio's on. Crazy, man. And like I said, they still haven't recovered from the from Hurricane Maria. They're still trying to get the island back to the way it was, and unfortunately, this is just going to make it that much more harder, man. And I can't believe that we have a part of the United States that has infrastructure that's just so terrible, man. Look at that home, man. It's like a shanty. It's like a shanty that you'd see in like a freaking third world country, bro, you know? I mean, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have shanty towns anywhere, but this is what I'm talking about, man. You know, they deny Puerto Rico statehood so they don't have to spend money on building up the infrastructure and its people, man. Just classic freaking American imperialism and racism, you know? Insane, dude. Look at that. Bridge just gone. Couldn't even imagine, man. Insane stuff. Insane stuff. All right. So I'm sure you're aware that there's been like a huge clampdown on Oh shit, I didn't even notice that you commented. You said people live like that in tons of places in the USA. Oh, I know, man. I know. I was recently on a road trip to Texas, and I went to I had a stop in Kentucky, and it blew my mind, dude. It was like something that you would like see like in like the fucking 1800s or some shit, man. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, there was this homeless woman that had asked me for a ride. So I was just driving around to the place, to the places that she needed to go to, you know, chopping it up and whatever. And I'm pretty sure she had me fucking just riding her around so she could get drugs and shit. But hey, man, I don't judge, bro. You know, sometimes you need that shit to get through the day. But she ended up bringing me all around these like backwoods part of Kentucky, bro. And it was like, it was just insane the level of poverty and deprivation some people experience in the United States. The United States has the lowest standard of living in the entire developed world, man. You know, it's brutal, and it doesn't need to be that way. We're the richest nation on earth, but you know, obviously, we all know this. They don't give a shit. It's all about the money, baby. Money and power. I've said it before. We still have kings and lords. They're corporate board members and managers. You know, the struggle for human emancipation is still ongoing, right?